Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Looper Norris here, back with another episode reacting to the most recent hip-hop albums of this year, last year, giving you guys my personal opinion about the album, a rating at the end of the video, and everything I could possibly think of in terms of how good the album is, how bad it is. Basically going through the most recent albums of last year and this year. That's the main focus. We got another episode here. Today, I'm gonna do Currency's Radioactive. This is a project that he put out earlier this month. Probably considered one of the older, he is one of the older rappers in the game. Currency, mostly known for starting his career out with Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records, Young Money Records. His first appearance after he worked with Lil Wayne, he started to build up his own solo career by putting out a bunch of solo projects, a bunch of mixtapes. Mostly known for his mixtape game. He's put out a lot of mixtapes in his career. A lot of albums too. He probably has like 20 mixtapes all together in his career and maybe like 12 albums. Not a lot of rappers put out music as frequently as he does. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's known for his car collections too. Huge car collections. Probably has over 100 cars. So he dropped this album recently called Radioactive with the producer Monster Beats. This is a producer I've never actually heard of. This is a new album, Radioactive. I'm gonna play a few of the tracks to give you guys an idea of how this album sounds like. Then I'm gonna talk about the sound of the album. I gave the album a listen, the full album, before making the video, so I have an idea of what the album sounds like and I have a rating set up and everything. Alright, so it's 12 tracks all together on this one. Most of the features on this album, it looks like they're his people that Currency knows himself, or even under his record label Jet Life Records. Albums produced by Monster Beats, the full album. It's all Monster Beats. So the first song we'll play is Where the Monsters Be.
Know when real niggas walking the door and help. We finna go in, champagne flowing, super doja smoking. Private jet owners know it's not hard to notice who really ranking it.
The next track, this one's called Blade, featuring Jay Worthy.
That boy ain't trying to get paid, he pretend to be a P. That bitch ain't trying to get paid. Yeah. If she was trying to get paid, then she'd be.
So this next track's Sending Signs.
She pulled up in attack mode. Thank her for that though. Had some fat rolls for after the episode. Repeat frequently if she could respect.
I'll play Connecting the Dots. That's the next one.
I won't be with you every minute, but I must provide, so I need the means. On the bus, smoked out, chilling. Next destination, instrumental spinning.
Radioactive by Currency and Monster Beats. This is a recent album, studio album by Currency, Jet Life rapper, longtime rapper from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's one of those rappers that's been around for a long time and has been pretty active since he started his career out with Lil Wayne. He's been putting out mad songs. One of the few rappers that will constantly put songs and albums and mixtapes out every single year, no matter what, which is probably my favorite part about Currency, because a lot of rappers don't really do this. I feel like most rappers, especially the most famous ones, will wait a long time until they put out the next track. We all know a lot of rappers that do this, and Currency is one of those rappers that does the opposite. He'll put a mixtape out and then a few days later he'll have another song out, and then another day later like he'll put another track out. I feel like Currency will make a bunch of songs and just put them out, or at least it seems like that. You could even look at his discography and see how many mixtapes he actually has in his history. It really does seem like he puts a new project out every month, which is like my favorite part about Currency. I don't even think he's that good of a rapper. When it comes to lyricism, he's not the best. At times he'll have his moments where he's just going off. He can really showcase a lot of rap skills when he wants to. He puts a lot of songs out, so this is something that will show up, I'll say most of the time, because he's pretty good rapper most of the time. But then there'll be times where you're listening to him rap and it's just like the bars are okay. Sometimes you don't really understand the bar that he's trying to put together. And then other times it's kind of hard to just like hear what he's trying to say. Maybe he's like rapping too fast, or with his accent it's like a little too strong at some points, or he's like so lit off of like blazing that you can't really understand the type of metaphors and similes that he's putting together. That's kind of how I've seen Curren$y over the past like couple of decades of him being in the game. He's an interesting rapper, man. The way he raps is kind of like the way he talks, which is pretty interesting. Like when you're listening to him rap, I think it's pretty cool. I think his beat selection is probably one of the best out of most rappers in the game. He picks the perfect beats for his style of rapping, and they're always very well made beats. You know what I'm saying? Very well put together, very professional sounding, always done by some type of like producing legend. He has a lot of mixtapes with The Alchemist, so you know what I mean? Shows you the caliber of producers that he'll work with. He doesn't produce himself, at least I don't think he does. Those producers usually do a good job when it comes to the style of beats that work perfectly with what Curren$y brings to the table. This album here, I think it was pretty good. I'll say like the only thing bad about the album, it's the kind of like the same thing you would usually get from Curren$y. If you listen to most of his albums and mixtapes in his career in his past, that same sound that you would get from him, you basically get from this album, which is like good and bad. It's good because you kind of want to get what you usually get from Curren$y, what he's best at, basically barring up with the knowledge and with the ideas that you're used to hearing from Curren$y and what he's used to seeing on an everyday basis. So he's a big car guy. He has a huge car collection, so he'll talk a lot about his cars and driving around and just a lot of stuff like that. He likes to smoke a lot of weed too, so he'll talk a lot about that. That's like a huge part of his life. You expect him to talk about a lot of these things because this is what he usually talks about in his music, and that's what you pretty much get from this album, Radioactive. And it's good because that's what Curren$y is best at. You get the best out of him when he's talking about these sort of things. It's bad at the same time because he's not really stepping out of like his comfort zone and what he's used to, what he's good at. He's not really talking about anything outside of blazing and driving around in his cars, just straight up talking about his car collection, getting like new cars. Like he doesn't really step outside of talking about the same things that we're used to hearing from him throughout his music career, his discography of mixtapes and albums. He doesn't step out of that circle and kind of just sticks to what he's used to talking about. So for that reason, that's like the only thing I don't really like about the album. The format of every song is basically the same as like what you're used to hearing from Curren$y. Like you get what you expect. That's the only thing I don't like about this album. Curren$y could have stepped out of his comfort zone just a bit and tried like a little bit of like a different style of song making and songwriting. He could have had more features on this one outside of his record label. Instead of a bunch of rappers that kind of rap the way he does, he could have stepped outside of that and got features from rappers that are a little bit different from what he does. He didn't have to. It could have been all rapping features, but maybe even some singers that are a little different from what he does on the album, I think would have made it a little more fresh sounding, a little more different. And he's had singing features on his songs in the past. Like I can remember listening to some of his old music from before, and he's had some R&B singers, male, female, to do hooks for his songs in the past. Outside of that, that's probably the only bad thing I gotta say about it. Besides that, I think the album is pretty good. It's not like the best thing I've heard from Curren$y. Far from that, definitely not his best work, but still good. I think the beats are very well done. The group of beats on this project is probably the best group of beats I've heard from Curren$y mixtapes in the past. Usually, Curren$y is an excellent beat selector. If you listen to his music from the past, the beats are always good. He usually raps on really, really good beats, but I think on this album, the beats are really good on this album. I always say Curren$y isn't the best rapper, in my opinion. I think some people might think different, but I always thought Currency was a very average rapper. Not mid. I'll say he's a little bit above average, above mid, but closer to mid when it comes to rapping. He doesn't really say anything crazy, kind of sticks to the same topics, and he'll basically stick to talking about that on every song. And every song is basically the same thing. He doesn't really like step outside of that. It's the same thing with this album, but he does it at a very high level. You know what I mean? He's not lazy with it. On this project, it's not so much of like the same thing that you constantly get from Currency. It is, but it's at a higher level compared to what he's done in the past. Sounds like he tries a little bit harder on this one in terms of like the lyrics. Not his best work. Definitely will say that. Not his best work, and I definitely heard him rap a little bit better, and I've heard better beats from Currency from older projects, albums and mixtapes from his past. Definitely can say that. I think the beats outdo the raps. It's usually the case with Currency projects. Usually the beats outdo the raps, just because he's not the best rapper. For sure, that's the case for this project. Some good music to play while you're driving around. I mean, Currency, he's like a car rapper. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of album that you want to kind of like cruise around to while you're playing in the background, and nothing to take too serious. You know what I'm saying? Just very chill album to kind of like, you know, cruise to. That's the vibe that I kind of get from this album. So in terms of ratings, I'm giving this one a 7.5 out of 10, because I think on a professional standpoint, it's a very strong, well-made album. Not too many bad things to say about it. You get what you expect from Currency. So that's probably the only bad thing you can say about it. It doesn't make you say like, this is Currency? Like what? Like I didn't think he was gonna go like this, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't sound like they're going for like a classic album, or they're trying to like change the game with this album. It's just like a cool, chill album that you can cruise to, you know what I mean? Play in the background during a party or something, you know what I mean? 7.5 out of 10. It's better than average album, but like close to average, you know what I mean? It's cool, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. So Currency, Monster Beats, Radioactive, man, 7.5 out of 10. Another reaction video. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Plenty of these to come. I'm doing 2 of these videos a week from now on, so make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. The next track that I'm dropping, listen to Dragon Propane. I got a music video out for it, so you know what I mean? Check that out on my YouTube channel. The next song that I'm dropping, Hellcat, that one will be out for August 4th, the official day for it, so make sure you stay tuned for that song. Hashtag INDICA 15-track mixtape set for October 4th. Make sure you guys get ready for that mixtape, man. That one's gonna be a banger, bro. I'm telling you. Make sure you listen to that once it's out. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Really do. Like, subscribe. I'll be back with some more, man. And that's all I got, man. I'm out. Peace.